recap on Reality Check with Heidi and Brad. Heidi is MIA. I think she's lost somewhere down in. I think she's in Florida. She told me she's doing something. I don't know. She's doing something. Claire's at a Christmas party. So we have Angie here. Angie, I'm so glad you're
Hey,
joining us.
me too. I
Uh,
can pitch it. I'm half the woman that the two of them are. So I mean, I'm gonna do my best.
Well, listeners who love Angie, she will be launching a show on the network in January. So stay tuned for more details. But I love working with Angie. Tim, Jennifer, we have Jennifer. I call her the Bean Lady. Uh, she knows her beans, man. And we have Tim, Extreme Sports.
Hello.
And hey, Tim. And Jennifer, Tim, Angie, and our relationship has come a long ways from our first time.
It really
Angie
has.
came on. Angie came on the show. She had receipts. See, Jennifer and Tim. Angie was a big star on the very first episode of The Floor.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what, this Angie lady, she ain't gonna be long for the show. She's gone. She'll be gone next week. And I said she's probably her and Andrew are dating. I was joking when I said that. And I said that's why she's.
Paige likes to hear that.
Yeah. So then Angie comes on. She's like, Brad, Tim's 19 years old. That's creepy and weird. And I'm still on the show, so you can basically just ram it up your rear. That's what she basically told us.
I was very Midwest polite, but I just had to set the record straight because we don't need the rumor mill going any faster and spreading further than it does. And Jennifer, if you just joined Reddit, listeners, Jennifer is a new Redditor, by the way. You'll start to see they love to put their opinions out there in the universe.
Yeah.
So I was just making sure Brad was on board with the truth train. Now we're talking along just fine, and we're not spreading rumors, are we, Mr. Lowe?
No, and I've never posted anything on Reddit, so I feel like I'm too old to be on Reddit. I've never posted anything on Reddit. But
podcasts are so much more fun. This is a better time to put your energy.
I can say things on here that I don't have to type. But enough about us, Angie.
Yeah.
We have 2 stars of The Floor, and I've been excited about this episode. For one, it's been a couple weeks for me. We took last week off, and I took the previous week off, so I'm back in the saddle tonight. So I'm excited to be back. Tim, Extreme Sports.
Hello.
I love it, man. What's your favorite extreme sport, by the way?
It's funny because I do triathlons, and I don't know that people would classify it as an extreme sport, but that's the one that I do.
Oh,
So-
I would say it qualifies. Absolutely.
Uh-huh. Yep.
I've done an Ironman. It's I've got 2.4 miles swimming, 112 miles on a bike ride, and a marathon at the end, and I finish before midnight, and I'm good.
Woo!
That's how long it takes. So
Woo.
But Tim,
it's not quite the skydiving, but it's a slog. Yeah.
but Tim, this is going to be the most extreme sport you've done. This hour with Angie and Jennifer and me.
Oh.
That's the most extreme.
It's like absolutely. It's like speed dating meets the most extreme sport you've ever had, and I've just got to keep us moving the train along. But
Sure, absolutely.
Angie's the conductor. See, the problem, Tim, I'll just start talking, and Angie just have to cut me off and say, let's move on. Jennifer,
Yep.
so excited you're here. Oh my gosh, I have so much I want to unpack with you. I really do.
Okay.
I've been talking about you for like 2 weeks now, so we're finally here.
Yeah.
And so Angie, let's get into this floor.
yeah,
let's get into
it.
Okay.
For sure. I know we're really glad to have both you, Jen and Tim, with us. And Jen, I was saying we call you, Lady Legume, the Bean Queen, all of that. So you come with honors already attached. So just relax it and enjoy the ride. But we are going to take it back to right before Thanksgiving. We had a double repeat episode of 9 where we got to run it twice, which I think was great because I think your birthday fell on an air date, right, Jennifer? And you had like a watch party.
So
or somewhere in that
Wednesday.
same time.
Yeah. So Wednesday was my birthday, the 27th, and that was the repeat of the episode. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
Very cool. And
Yeah.
that was
Happy 30th birthday, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Yes,
happy 30th.
exactly. That is exactly
What do you
right.
get,
I like you, Brad. I like you.
Yeah, I think isn't the traditional gift at year 30 beans? Is that what
Yeah.
happens? Like, right?
Hey, that sounds great. If not, it needs to be, right? We'll
Yeah,
make it
does need to
happen.
be. It does. So we have a lot of duels between the episodes before Thanksgiving and this last week before we even, are moving into the semifinals. So Tim and Jennifer, you both had duels in that Thanksgiving episode week. And Tim, I know, was chomping at the bit to get up there. I think we're going, for the sake of the show, Brad, we may need to speed through a few, but just to catch some folks up, because it seems like it's been a while. We had the Battle of the Dannies. We had, Danny G, who had inherited failed political candidates. He got almost half the floor. He was riding high. He was coming in hot. And he decided to go back. And the randomizer decided to start picking off people. And then I think we ended up getting to Tim about midway. Is there any duel you want to talk about that week, Brad, before we have Tim kind of take us back through that?
I don't want to labor too much before Tim, but I do want to say that the failed political candidates category, that guy was confident and he didn't really back it up. He missed Gary Coleman. My 11-year-old son was like, "That's the kid from Different Strokes." I'm like, "Yeah." It's like,
I think they missed an opportunity to maybe name it, failed celebrity political candidates, because I think most of us were going,
it was titled wrong.
Michael Dukakis, Paul Zongas, Geraldine Ferraro, like we were all getting our 80s hats on, and then you got, what do you got up there? You got Gary Coleman, you've got folks like that, and you're like, oh shoot, yeah, I guess.
How did Shirley Temple caught a stray there? Because she was ambassador to Ghana. I had no idea she lost. She famously lost an election. I had no idea.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah, and I don't think most of us did. And I think the poor Dannies, it was really, if they'd had their brains on name the celebrity face instead of thinking about politics, they both would have probably done much better. But so then we had, Danny got Halloween movies. So the Battle of the Dannies went in Danny G's favor, but then he inherited Danny Snyder's category, and that was Halloween movies, which brings us up to Tim's moment too. I think you had a vertical leap of 5 feet?
Yes.
In that clip, because I've never seen Tim jump so high that when that randomizer, he was like, yes! He was ready to play.
I was excited to play, and I've been chomping at the bit. I've been wanting to play all week, and I'm actually really thankful that I didn't, because it gave me the chance to meet so many more people than if I had played and gotten eliminated on episode 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But Amy, who had nursery rhymes next to me, was the one that got randomized.
That's right.
I actually thought that she was in a very, very impossible situation. She had Angie on one side, Danny with Halloween movies on the other side. Both of them had time boosts at the time. And I think she took the least bad of the choices, which was to pick me in Dueling Extreme Sports. And I looked at them now that I can see her clues. I do believe that even if we had switched, I still probably would have won. But I can say that I think she had by far the more difficult of the clues. And it's tough because, she had the rock climbing clue, which turned out to be free solo climbing.
Oh, that was so brutal.
She didn't know. Yeah, it was like, and I'd studied for it. I knew what that was, but I'm probably calling out rock climbing, and then when it doesn't go my way, I'm like, okay, free climbing, free solo. Like, I knew enough that I would have been able to do it, but it's tough, and I know some of the people sometimes criticize folks for, they needed to be more specific. Well, how are you supposed to know that? I think Cyrene in episode 1 or 2 was like, these are olives.
Right.
And they didn't give it to her because they wanted black olives specifically. Right. And it's like,
and I think it would be really interesting if in future seasons, and as we as viewers, listeners may or may not know, it's been called. They're now auditioning for season 4, even before season 3 is premiered. So it's going to keep going. I'm wondering if maybe they'll implement some kind of alert system, like be more specific as opposed to it's just wrong. Like a little light that goes that says, be more specific, add that adjective, add that extra word, so that you're not completely rethinking the moment. but it was tough, you know. And Amy, she's a champion bocce player. Now we may not think of bocce as extreme, but man, they take their sport seriously. And she was ready to play. She's an athlete. She's a gamer. She's competitive. And I know that you know, you two had been floor buddies for, you know, all of those weeks. I stood next to you. There's a moment where I come and I have my hands like on both of you, like, oh my gosh, you guys are gonna do it, you know, go have fun. And it was a good duel, though. You both really did battle very well, and I think it worked out really well for you, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, I won, so I was happy to do that. And then, so I guess you want to get to the next one where I decide. I think, honestly, if you want to objectively look at it, it may be the probably worst strategic decision out of anybody. I think I probably could have gone back to the floor and have been super protected with Angie on one side, Danny on the other side, both with time boosts. And I don't think I would have been touched until the finale. But as I mentioned it, you know what? It was my wife's birthday. I wanted to go big or go home, and I took that shot. And this is something that I knew about coming in, going to the floor. I talked to my wife, like, hey, look, 99 of us are not going to win $250,000. Right. And she said, look, it's okay to go for 20. And I had a plan. Like, if I was able to beat Danny, you know, I would have gone for another category, gotten a time boost. I think I could have held people off. The plans don't matter if you don't win. And I didn't win. So the only thing I regret was not actually winning. But,
I think most of us could have that regret, depending on how it all ends up. I don't think you're alone with that.
Some people regret the challenge that they made. Some people regret not going for it. But I did what I set out to do, except for win. And you know, I surprised myself a little bit watching it back. It's like, out of all of those movies, I had only seen one of those. And so
they were interesting Halloween picks. I'm glad you mentioned that. But you know, you should be kind to yourself. You're into extreme sports. You don't play it safe. It's not your personality.
No,
I think you followed your gut and you went for it.
I did.
If you would have been defending nursery rhymes, which we're going to get to. But we saw that was a category that was a little more challenging than I think most people thought.
That was.
I had my plan, and it involved going after Disney. But that's a separate issue.
Brad hosts Movie Torture, so you're a fan of film. What did you think of the picks, Brad, for the Halloween movie category?
Well, I could hear Heidi going, "This is Brad's category. This is Brad," because Heidi watches it and figures out what's my category. And I could have won that. I think I could. I like scary movies. I know scary movies, and there's a couple that caught me, but I think it's because I was tired. So I think if I was ready, I could have brought it. But any movie category I would like to be in, because that's my thing. I can watch a movie and tell you what it is. So, yeah, Angie, I like the movie category. I hated to see Tim, but go through it. But, yeah.
Yeah, it was tough. I did think Frankenweenie was a rando, but I'm glad to see it get
I knew that one, though.
I believe you did. I'm excited.
What did they show Coraline? Was Coraline on there too?
They showed Coraline.
Yeah, Coraline. Yeah. They like Tim Burton, even though I don't really consider that horror. That's not a horror movie. I think a horror movie is.
I know. Yeah.
They did say any movies that you would like to show around Halloween, and in the pre-duel briefing, they specifically said does not necessarily have to be a scary movie. So I was actually expecting something like, it's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
Right.
Show up.
Yeah. Anything taking
Hubie Halloween.
Yeah, absolutely right. So you unfortunately didn't pull that off. Danny G continued his reign of terror and controlling his empire, as he liked to say, or look at my kingdom. He was pretty puffed up.
He did.
Excited, and good.
He was puffed up. He was pulling Angie a little Keelan cockiness there.
A little, you guys. Brad's got a thing for Keelan's swagger. He's a little over it. He's a little over
it.
He's
a fan of the swagger, but I do want Keelan to come on the show. So
we'll make that happen. We will make that happen.
He'll do it.
He's in what I would call, one of the more academic categories, which a lot of people don't like. And I don't want to get too far into episode 10, but I feel like being a science-ish major, I'm an engineer, I would have liked to have taken a shot at it, but
everybody's scared.
We'll talk
scared
about
him.
He was close to some competitors, so we'll definitely talk about sidestepping Keelan. Do we want? So after
let's get
back, Nursery Rhymes, he's got it. I don't think he's very confident in it. You know, he fronts like he's got it. And then we get proof of whether or not he's got it. So after that happens, he goes back, right? And let me see if I can remember. Oh yeah, Lisa from R&B, that quiet corner of Lisa and Alex finally wakes up. People I know were like, I didn't even know they were on the show because they just hadn't been profiled in that little corner. So finally our side got a break, right?
Yes, we did.
Like, yeah, we got a break. And so it got to shift to the other side. Now, Lisa, of course, has R&B, but she didn't get to battle in that. She picked Alex right next to her with Global Monuments. What are your thoughts? How did that go down for you? I know you did Skylines, Jennifer, which is somewhat similar to Monuments and such, but
I mean, if I had been, I would have done well, I think. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty straightforward. I didn't think there was anything really weird with that one, but
and there were some nitpicky things like, you know, Lisa, I think, says St. Louis Arch, and it's technically the Gateway Arch.
Right.
And so be it. You know, they either one, they took it.
Yeah.
But, you know, Alex, we kind of expected he might win given his history of world travel.
Right.
Or at least what he told us and what his Instagram page told us. And so he ended up walking away with it, but he's playing the long game and went back. And so then we moved up a little bit. Then we got a little closer to Keelan, right?
Oh, then I was getting excited.
Got Jessica. And I was like, yes, finally somebody's gonna come knocking on Keelan's door, maybe. And Jessica, as we know, has girl groups. We got to see her perform really well this week in episode 10. But she decided to go after Sarah and female leaders, which was really a cool kind of battle of the estrogen monsters, right? We've got girl groups and female leaders, and it was really, I think, a pretty good matchup. Any thoughts about that stood out to you? Any of the images, personalities, anything in that battle that you remember being taken with?
Nothing stands out to me. I thought all the leaders were pretty straightforward too. I did, you know, because you're playing along back there. Yeah. And I think we felt that too, especially coming off the political candidate category. Most of us probably had political candidates in our brain. So some of those women, I think, were on our minds. And then moving on, we got to Nursery Rhymes. Now, this was, I think, a different category for some folks. It was not exactly a sounds category. We know it wasn't sounds, but it wasn't a straightforward image category either.
It was tough. This was tough.
I thought it was tough.
Yeah, because you had to look to the left, and then you were saying the nursery rhyme in your head, which takes a while. Yeah. You know? So, and then her mom, she said her mom was a preschool teacher or, you know, it seemed. Yeah. So I was like thinking, she's got this, you know, as soon as she said that, I bet she's got this. And I don't know, how old is she? Did she have kids? I can't remember.
No, she doesn't. Jessica doesn't have kids. I think she's 26.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
But
she's 36. And
36.
If you talk to her next year, she might have a kid.
Oh, wait. Did she say she was pregnant?
Check out her Instagram.
Yeah. Wait, didn't she even say something like when we weren't filming that she was pregnant? Was she pregnant?
I don't remember it, but I don't remember that. But it certainly could have been. Yeah.
Well, that's
interesting.
I knew
Jessica, congratulations.
Somebody said that they were pregnant. Someone I remember said that they were pregnant. So it probably
somebody
was her.
else said it after the fact.
Wife, Dodgeball Andrew's wife is pregnant. I think they're expecting.
Yes.
No,
I don't want to tell people if they like.
Well, we'll keep it on the down.
Tim, I've already put it on Reddit. It's on Reddit, Tim. So we're good. It's on Reddit.
Jessica. We're so happy for you.
Lauren is due soon.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Wait, which one was Lauren? Which one was Lauren? Is she the one that girl groups?
Military.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to have a whole new generation of floor fans brewing. That's exciting.
Yeah, we are.
So Landis, pepperoni pizza?
Say that again?
Pizza toppings. Landis also having another.
Oh, yeah, he is having another kid. Wow.
Oh, okay. Oklahoma City.
Floor is clearly a family planning show.
When do we get to Jennifer the Beans?
That's it. We're going right there now. That's the last time we wrap it up. We end up with people going back to the floor, and that randomizer it grabs and it gets a hold of Joanna. in CEOs, and wow, is she a powerhouse? I mean, you're the bean queen. She was like a bean machine. I mean, I think she intimidated so many of us. I would not be surprised if there were like mass evacuations of all things happening on that floor, because we're like, oh my gosh. Where now she was a binder, she was a studier, she was a machine. Tell us how that felt, Jennifer, when you got back up there and she looks at you and goes, okay, I'm going for beans. And you're like, you just come back from doing Skylines in the previous episode. You
that was a long day.
Yeah, it was a long day. It was a real long day. Yeah. So how did that go for you? What did you think of her approach?
Well, so I think you could hear it on the show. Is I told her when she reached over to me, and I said I had a feeling, because we had talked so much, but she was kind of quiet, you know. And I had told I can't remember if I told Sabrina. I was like, Sabrina, I think I'm going to have to challenge you, but Joanna didn't like say like, hey, if this happens, I'm going to, you know, because some people, you know, Tim, like you have those or Angie, you too, you have those conversations. So I think I said, I misspoke. I said husband, but it's actually her partner. Like they're not married, but he's a chef. Yeah, and I knew that. Right. So, because you know, you're talking. So I was like, oh, and I think I said that to Keelan when he was like my cheerleader when I was going up. But yeah, so I have this strategy. I don't look at the person I'm playing. I don't even glance at them. I look at the screen. I do not look at the timer, because if I look at the timer, it will freak me out. If I look at them, it'll freak me out. So I am just focused on the screen. And you can see I have all that nervous energy. So I'm like, damn it, why won't somebody else rock back and forth like I do? Why is it just, I'm always looking. I'm like this. You know, but I just have all that nervous energy. I cannot, and even you can ask my students when I lecture, and now I'm talking with my hands. Look at me, you know.
So about that, Jennifer, they were making fun of Nicholas from season 1.
Oh yeah,
for rocking back and forth. And then, as you may or may not know, Melissa from season 2, I think they're brother and sister. She was kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah,
she was kind of doing the same thing. So it was funny.
I did the little hip swinging too. It's just you get rid of them, you're stimming, you're trying to get rid of the anxiety.
Yeah.
Look at Brad. Look at Brad swaying right here. He's doing.
Yeah, I'm like you, Jennifer. I talk with my hands. I'm a hands guy.
Yeah.
Jennifer, I want to know, 1, why beans, and 2, 2, I didn't like her gameplay against you, because this is my coworker Jeremy, huge Floor fan, huge Angie fan. She came up and she was going lima pinto black. She was just I couldn't talk as fast as her. Like she was just naming beans and hoping she hit. Yeah. I didn't like that gameplay. It was weird to me. Why beans? And are you a lover of beans? And what is the farting like in your house? Because you're eating a lot of beans. Angie, you knew this question was coming from me.
I'm glad it came from you.
Okay. I mean, so we'll get to the farting thing in a minute. But so you're talking to the casting people and you're coming up with stuff. And I teach U.S. history. I teach U.S. history and film. You know, I travel. So I had proposed a lot of the categories that ended up being on the floor, like, you know, landmarks. I didn't propose Skylines, but that worked out because of my son. But anyway, toward the end of the conversation, they said, well, what's another one that's kind of quirky? And I was like, how about vegetables? Because I cook. My husband doesn't like me saying this, but he runs triathlons. But he probably inherited an enlarged aorta. So he had to have surgery in last February, which is part of the reason why I'm like, I'm applying for game shows. Like, this is something I've always wanted to do. Why wait? So anyway, when he got diagnosed in 2020, they watched it. But he thought, oh, I'm going to become a vegetarian, and this is going to keep me from having surgery. Not what happened. If you have an enlarged aorta, if it grows, you're having surgery. Being a vegetarian doesn't help. But I'm the primary person that cooks. So I had to learn how to make meat not be, the center of attention. So I was already eating beans and cooking beans. Like even my kids wouldn't eat greens, but they would eat beans because I'm from a farming community in South Georgia. Like I mentioned that 18-foot peanut monument.
Yes.
That's for real. And when I grew up, like in the summer, we would watch game shows and soap operas. And my mom was like, shell these peas, shell these beans, and so I it was something I grew up with. But when they first said you couldn't do vegetables, and they said, hey, let's do what's something else, I was talking out loud. I said beans. And I was like, oh no, because he goes, oh, that's a great idea. And I was like, no, I'm Southern. I'm going to sound stupid. And every casting person I talked to after that, I was like, listen, this one guy mentioned beans, and I really don't want beans. Can I do something else? But then
the more you fought it, the more you owned it.
And then when we got the category and it had the damn exclamation point, I was like, why is there an exclamation point by my category? It was just weird.
Brad didn't see that. And for those people listening, just a few days before we fly there, they give you a list of the categories. It gets sent in basically like a spreadsheet format, and it's got the category general and category specific. And so under like food items, you could see, and it said beans with this big exclamation point. Yep. Nobody else in the category had that. So we all started calling you beans every time we said it. And when you got challenged and lit up the first time in episode 8, I think we all shouted beans on the floor. Yeah, because that's where that came from. So, but you owned it. You were calm. You were collected, and you're right. There was a rapid fire approach. I think, Brad. I think that comes from. I think she's a data analyst, Joanna. I think she's very methodical and data driven. And I guarantee she had a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet of beans, and she was just ripping them off.
She was ripping them like someone who eats. She was ripping them like but Angie, Jennifer, correct me if I'm wrong, there was no pinto bean in the bean category. I didn't see a pinto. Was there a pinto?
I can't remember.
I don't think there was a pinto.
And we all know that I got to say chickpea because of my rant before about everybody should be eating chickpeas.
Everybody's got to eat chickpeas. They're good for you, and you're right.
So we got to.
Go ahead.
We need to get to episode 10, but I want to say this, Jennifer. One, answer this question for me, because I'm a pastor at church, and if I did a religious category and flunked at it, it would be hard for me to come back to church and people go, so when you were up there and you're like, I teach in this American history, was part of you not wanting to challenge the American history? Because you're like, if I fail at this, they're going to think I'm a moron.
Yeah. And I was just so nervous. I was ready to I just wanted to break and to go back to the floor. Yeah. So,
I just need to ask you that, because I was like, man, she had to be like, I don't want to fail at this, even though I think you would have won. Yeah. I think you would have won because I'm a big fan of yours. Yeah. But, I do like that you like beans, and you never really answered the farting question. Is there a lot of farts that happen at the Jennifer Strickland home?
Because once you get accustomed to beans, your body gets used to it. And actually,
I didn't know that. I eat beans, I fart. I mean, that's what I do.
Right, but most of the times, the smelly ones are from meat, not beans. Just so y'all know,
it's the oil and the fat.
Yes,
it sits in the intestine. 100%.
Okay,
I'm a vegetarian, so.
This is an education.
Wow. Vegetarians have the worst farts, Angie.
No,
but we have the cleanest colons, Brad. We have the cleanest.
I love how we're on this. Claire would be so like, I cannot believe we're talking about this right now.
Jennifer, we're 50. Yeah, I'm 50. Tim just said he's going to turn 50 next year. I mean, this is the year of the colonoscopy, so I think we should just.
Oh my gosh, I'm 45.
Everybody should get screened.
I already had mine.
Well, that being said,
I already had mine.
This is an AARP commercial. Get your colonoscopy.
Get it.
Metamucil.
Yes.
You hear us, Jacob, in the chat. Get your colonoscopy.
Get colonoscopy. It's important. Clean as a whistle. All right. Beans.
Anyway, let's get to 10. Let's get to 10 because
this was big. Episode 10. This was really big. We're finally getting down to the final 25.
Yep.
Right. All of us are in the top 25 now. We all kind of looked at each other. We're like, oh my gosh, we made it. There's only 3 episodes left. And Jennifer, you took a breath. You went back down to the floor. You kind of collected yourself, and you had a decision to make. And you could have hung out for a little while, knowing that you really weren't that vulnerable unless David got randomized.
Yeah.
But you went for it.
Was likely, and I did not want you to challenge me in CEOs.
Yeah,
David is an accountant.
Yeah,
I just inherited CEOs. Yeah. It was better for me to go on the offensive, right, and then challenge him in something I'm comfortable in, than him come for me in CEOs.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I was proud of you, and I think
Yeah.
you know. This was the episode where we got David had that great soundbite. You know, he doesn't fear you, but he respects you. That was really fun.
Yeah.
Let's talk just a little bit about that category, though. I do have to say, I was intimidated by the big categories like world history, American history, because the catalog is deep.
Oh, it is so deep.
The American flag. I have to say, come on. I was like, you cannot tell me that this is actually what they're identifying right now.
I know.
George freaking Washington, I was losing my mind.
I know.
It got a little deeper, but not much deeper. How did you feel when you saw those coming at you like that?
I was like, this is so easy. I mean, again, I mainly teach U.S. history. So, you know, I was like, why was I worried before? You know, so yeah, it was easy. But again, David had said that he had studied history in college, and I didn't know if he was telling the truth or not because I knew he was an accountant. So, you know, I didn't know. And he's very well read, and I knew he, you know, so yeah. But he said he's haunted by the Telegraph. What?
Was this the old man? Was this the old man?
Yeah,
the older gentleman,
David 67. Yeah,
he looks like Larry David. He looks like Larry David.
He does look like Larry David. Yeah.
Yes. Even my students today, when I walked into class, like to different, some kids watch it and think it's cool. Some kids like have no interest, but they're like, Ms. Strickland, you finally challenged in U.S. history. But here's the funny thing: I goofed up on on my kids' test. I always put one of the preambles. I tell them, I'm like, it's going to either be the preamble to the Declaration or the preamble to the Constitution. It's easy to get mixed up. Make sure you study. And I did it on national TV. It was so my kids when they walked, and that popped in my head as soon as when I said, "Oh my God!" It's because I knew that my students were going to go, "Miss Strickland messed it up."
You recovered nicely, though. You did great. And then the Telegraph, I think, hung up David a little bit.
It did. It did kind of look like a projector. He was trying to say, because I even froze the picture for my husband last night. I was like, can't you see it kind of does look like a projector? So
Jennifer, you're one of my favorite people. You and Tim, I love both of you on there. I got a bone to pick with you, though, Jennifer.
Why?
Here's the thing.
You got a bean to pick with her, Brad.
I got a bean to pick with you, and it's gonna be a smelly one. Okay. Why? And Jacob in the chat brought this up, and I'm going to reiterate what he said. Spill the beans. Why did you not go for the time boost? I was like, Jennifer, you need to stay up there and get the time boost because you got to beat Angie. She's going to have a time boost. She's in your neighborhood. You need this too. You need
extra accessories. Your next accessories.
Right. But in order to get the time boost, I would have had to have won. And I would have had to felt comfortable. Like I did not Mina did great and, you know, with Taylor Swift. And it's not that I feared her, but she's younger than I am. She's more up on accessories. I mean, I'm not the most fashionable person at all. So I didn't know what kind of weird accessories they might have thrown up there. When I ended up seeing anyway, can't talk about that stuff. But
don't spoil that out.
Yeah, so I didn't know what was going to be up there. So yeah, I know a lot of people are going to disagree with this, but I would have had to have felt comfortable. And in order to get the time boost, you have to win. So if I didn't think I was going to win, it was just better for me to hide out in the corner, which is
Tim. You make a great point because the very next duel, we see Trenton get randomized, and Trenton decides that, well, it's not part of his grandmaster plan to go after girl groups, although I think we all can agree he had a better shot there. He didn't want to be a whale. He wanted to start smaller. And he went with hockey, which it was pretty clear was not something he was likely going to win. And so you're right. Even if it looks like something that is the best idea in the moment, if you don't know that category and you're not confident, you could be blowing your whole shot. And
I was disappointed with the hockey category. My coworker Jeremy loves hockey. He's been waiting on hockey, Angie, for weeks.
Yes.
And they had no modern hockey players. It seemed like they were all old. You have to be our age, Tim, 45 and up to even get
I will say, I felt super comfortable with any sports category, and I feel like out of everybody on the floor, I could beat 90% of them on any sports category, and the other 10% I think I go toe to toe with. And specifically with hockey, I think the youngest person on there was Jerome McGinley, who was on there, who I recognized. And but it seemed like Trenton, by luck of the draw, got all of the players, and it seemed like Catherine got all of the equipment. And that's tough to overcome, especially when Trenton kind of admitted, he's not really a sports person to begin with.
Yeah, the equipment's easy. Yeah. Hockey puck, goal, hockey stick, Zamboni. I mean, he was getting Gordie Howe, Mark Messier. He was getting old players.
They were also old players. Like the picture of Mario Lemieux wasn't the greatest, but you can make it out. Messier was just not in uniform.
And was early on. I think it's a little ironic that one of the only hockey players of color, Willie O'Ree, in the end was who Trenton drew, and Trenton's pretty famous now for his reaction to other players, misrinsing or not understanding opposite race pictures. So
can I interject one thing about that? So that was a pretty famous reaction, and it was with Julianne, when Julianne did not recognize Blackish. But I do want to point out that not only did she get the Jeffersons in the same category, but in her category of disco, she got every single one of the Black and African American groups and singers. So I just wanted to make that clear to anybody out there who was saying, "Oh, well, Julianne doesn't know this," and Julianne, she actually did. It was just maybe Blackish was a little bit too new. I think.
It was. Yeah. Well, we saw things with the R&B category toward the end of episode 10 as well. There's race blindness goes all over the floor. Right. That's why SNL did an upshot of it, last year. It's kind of the joke of our show. But I thought that was kind of an interesting way to end it. And he was gracious as he could be. He left. Catherine decided to go back. She wants to wait, and then we get that randomizer again. And now we're getting to the point where we've got fewer and fewer people who haven't played yet. And so now we get Kevin. Kevin he was beloved by everyone, as far as I can tell. He's a sweetheart. He's got a son named Aiden he couldn't stop talking about and bragging about. He's just a really good human. And so it was fun to see him get a moment. And I think he had one of the best lines of the entire season when Rob asked him what his strategy was. And he said, "I'm just going to name the right answers really fast." And I'm like, that's about it.
That's a good line. That's a boss line.
But, it didn't work out so well for that strategy with reality stars. That was pretty difficult. It proved difficult for both Cassandra and Kevin. What did you guys think playing along on the floor? What did you think of those
my gosh. I'm not a big reality person anyway, but I thought it was difficult, but even people that I watched with, they thought it was difficult too. Like my daughter's 21 and she was watching with us, and maybe half. So there was a lot she didn't know. So anyway,
well, it was hard. It was her category, and she had, I think, like 30, maybe 25 seconds ahead of Kevin toward the end, and had to skip 4 in a row. And it just went. I think Kevin had kind of resigned himself to losing, but it didn't work out that way. He ended up.
I know. Yeah.
But I will say that Heidi would have been really frustrated that he did not know Jeff Probst.
He was like, I know. What did he say?
He said James. I think he said James. Yeah. He said, I think he said the right last name, right? I think he said the right last name. He just didn't get she would be upset.
I'm going to text Heidi and find out what her thoughts were on him not knowing Jeff Probst. That's crazy. Crazy
and
town.
I think those naming things are, they get some viewers and fans of the show a little upset because sometimes, a last name is accepted. Sometimes a full name is required. Right. But I think most of the time when you look at it, you can see there's some logic. For example, Howe, people thought that Catherine should have gotten Howe, but Gordie has 2 sons who also play in the NHL.
Right.
So
and I didn't know that.
Players than Howe. And I think in that instance, she needed to be more specific. There is only one Probst, and so I wonder if Kevin had just gone with Probst, but he stumbled over Joe, George, James, whatever he did say, and ended up having to pass on that. But Heidi would have been up in arms, so maybe it's a good thing she's not here to get feisty.
I wonder, is that part of the initial, the legal briefing that we see that we don't get to see on screen? Do the legal teams tell them you need to give a first and last name for this? Yeah, that's possible.
I wonder too. And we don't know all the ins and outs, and that's it's there's still little kinks and things, inconsistencies. They're going to annoy people, and they annoy everybody involved, but it is part of you just sign up for. So then, of course, Kevin's like, phew, dodge that bullet. Bye, Cassie. It's been fun. I'm going back to that floor. And we get the randomizer again, and we're seeing that back row. What did Kevin call it? The Valley of Peace or something? It was
he did.
Because Brandy, who's cute as a freaking button.
Yes, she is.
She gets lit up, and she's just like, oh my gosh. And she's a voiceover artist. I think she has just this lovely, little like tinkle in the way she talks. She was just beautiful and fun. And she just said, I could go for art supplies, but she flips back and decides to take on our whale. Right. So now Jessica's like, oh no. And that was really interesting. We got girl groups against Brandy and spin-off bands. Whew, that was interesting. That's the one where they showed me praying, and I don't know why, but apparently I was praying on national television for that.
But Angie, I think at that point you got to take the whale on. Like you've been waiting around for what 8-9 days of filming. It is time. If you get that whale, you can win $20,000. Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, so I think you can have 55 spaces. Right? You can have 55 spaces if you beat the whale.
And if Brandy won, she gets to keep her own category too.
And she would have been. And it was music related, right? It wasn't like she had cooking tools and she was going up against dinosaurs, right? I mean, this was music and music. Right. So we thought, I think it was not a bad gamble. And you're right, Brad. I mean, we're more than halfway through episode 10. Let's go for the money, right? Let's see if we can get it. Unfortunately, she didn't.
She didn't. It was sad.
It was, but she was gracious, and Jessica ended up sticking it out. And Jessica's like, I've got spin-off bands now. She likes music. She could have gone back and she could have seen, hey, let's see how this goes. People are still intimidated by me, but she didn't, because there's a category I think she knew even better, and she decided to take on Rita, didn't she? Was that the next one?
I think did she take on Alex?
No, she went with Alex first.
Yeah,
she did another music category. She took off Alex. You're right. She took off Alex, which I think Alex had a great soundbite, right? He's like Airbnb. Did anybody catch that?
No, I didn't.
He's like, I don't know anything about Airbnb. I mean, that says what I know about R&B.
Jennifer
was in his
Tim,
confessional. Yeah.
Jennifer and Tim, what I do before the category comes up, I'm always naming what I think is going to be shown. Yeah, that's my move. And I was like, they're going to show Sam Cooke. They're going to show Marvin Gaye. Yep. I think I could have won this category. I didn't know In Vogue. I should have, but there was a few that I missed. But I had Barry White, because we're old. All of us are older.
Yeah. Martha and the Vandellas. I recognize them.
Yeah. There's John Legend was easy. I mean, good Lord, anybody should know John Legend. Yeah. So it was a good category, Angie.
I think we can all agree it was far better than Pop Stars. Which I think we all
for sure.
I would have passed on every one of those, Tim. Every one of those on Pop Stars, I would have passed.
I am so as good as I think I am in sports categories. I know I am that bad in music categories. So, it would have been. I would have lost in every music category if I had to play. But
Well, I think
everybody's different.
Jessica clearly was bright. She knew music. She decided to go for a time boost. She's like, you know what? I'm in a rhythm. I've been up here more than once recently. Let's keep this momentum going. And I think that's what was driving her. Instead of going back to the floor and waiting, she saw Rita, and it was the Battle of the Disney Princesses, which I have to say was probably my favorite battle so far the whole season. I just thought they were both cute as could be. Yeah. Rita's a walk. I mean, they're both Disney princesses, right? I think was Jasmine. I think that's who she was at Disneyland, or was she? No, I think she was Jasmine. She was a Disney princess.
Yeah, she was. I told my wife, I said that lady looks like she's been a Disney princess somewhere. She was. But Angie, there was a duel earlier on that was finished with like 2 seconds. That was really good. I can't remember what it was.
It was, but oh no, I gotta say, Star Wars was probably the.
Oh, that was a good
one too. I mean, they were going at it, but this was good.
They were great. But this one was kind of fun, maybe because I knew more Disney than I knew Star Wars.
This is a lot of fun. My 5-year-old daughter, we just watched that part of the episode today, and she's playing along. She can't do that with Shakespeare. She can't do that with pop stars, but she can do that with Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have lost the Disney one. I would have lost it though.
Okay, so there was a little bit of the controversy with, was it Simba?
Simba.
Was it Mufasa?
It was Simba.
It was
It ended up being Simba, right?
No, it was
Mufasa.
Mufasa.
Mufasa was the answer they accepted. Rita said Simba first. It was not accepted. She said Mufasa, as you would, just to kind of cover your bases. But they were not correct. It was Simba. Either way, it didn't hurt Rita or the outcome.
Right.
But that was a tricky thing.
The floor was wrong. The production was wrong on that one.
Go to Reddit. Reddit will tell you all about it in like 4 separate threads.
Tim, I need to go to Reddit.
See, now I got to figure out how the Reddit works.
How to use it.
Jennifer and I know nothing about Reddit.
But they were great. They were lovely. They were fun to watch. They were competitive in such a cool way. And Rita, Woody. It's like even the way she said it was like she just popped up an animated cell. It was like they were so cute.
And the bow in her hair, the comment about the bow in her hair. And when she was looking, I was like, oh, good. Somebody else is not standing there. She was like looking really, like getting close. And I was like, good. Somebody else is doing that besides me.
Yes,
those screens are not all that close. Yeah.
I wish more people would recognize that. Our couch coaches out there who were like, I know. You can see that. It's like, it's a distance, it really is.
Yeah.
But anyway,
and you're tired and you're nervous.
Yes, you are. So Rita won. It was very good, very close. And she didn't go back to the floor. She decided she was going to give it a good go. And then we have Allie, who was sitting there having inherited ancient Egypt since like episode 4 or 5.
Right.
And so she's had some time to prep.
Right.
And Rita just said, you know what? My mom's obsessed with ancient Egypt. I'm going to go for it. And that was a very, I thought, tricky category.
Yeah.
There were some.
It was so hard. I would have failed. I would have been pass.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was another one where, much like Cassandra passed like 4 or 5 in a row, poor Rita, Allie was down to 2 seconds on the clock. And I think Rita had 20. And she had a pass, and 0 out.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, poor thing. It was hard to watch. I'm glad for Allie. I loved them both, but that was tough.
Yeah.
Angie, Jennifer, Tim, what was harder to watch? That or the poor lady from a few episodes ago
Leah.
that passed on every one of them? That was
Leah was harder.
That was the worst. Yeah. Because there was just no competition there at all.
Yeah.
That was
Jennifer
and Tim, I did propose that Max should not have lost his time boost for that. If you do not answer a question, you should keep your time boost. That's what I propose.
Yeah.
And that was hard.
Yeah.
Jennifer and Tim also proposed trapdoors. I think trapdoors are the way to go in the future.
There was a game. Speaking of game shows, there was a game show on Game Show Network called Russian Roulette. I don't know that it would fly nowadays, but you were standing on 6 circles, and if you lost, it would spin around, and you know what? If you were on the wrong spot, you would fall through a trapdoor and go to.
I think when you lose on the floor, you should fall through a trapdoor. That would be amazing. I would love that. That is something I want to pitch. When I applied to be on season 4 because I want to be on it. I said in my video thing, I think we should have trapdoors. I think trapdoors would be amazing. They would be.
We always harken back to the old remote control game show on MTV whenever we talk about that. That's exactly what they would do. So we were doing really well getting through this, and I think it's great because we'll have some time to think a little bit about the semifinals coming up and have your thoughts and maybe predictions. But the last episode we saw finished with Allie winning. And Allie decided to go back to the floor with the largest piece of territory, knowing there was one duel left. And if she could dodge it, she'd have 20K. And the randomizer picked Neri, whose category is stand-up comedians. And he had the choice of going for that 20K with Allie or going for his bro, Brian, and beer. And I think everybody was holding their breath. And he finally just said, I'm going with Brian. And you could just see Allie go, oh my gosh, she just got 20K, which was really fun to see that. I was surprised, actually. I really thought Neri would go for it. Maybe he just didn't feel terribly confident in spinoff bands. And clearly Beer was next to him, right, since day one. So he's probably been studying it.
Yeah.
Like you, Jennifer, he went for what he knew he could do. And I think that's what a lot of us were trying to do.
Yeah.
So
it was a weird ending. It was a weird ending to the episode, Angie, because the guy's like, and you beat me. And I mean, I felt bad for him because he wasn't even trying. I would be guessing every beer. Coors Light. I'm not even a beer drinker. I'd be like, every beer I could think of, I'd be throwing out.
It did feel like he resigned himself to the loss. That, but I don't know what I would do in that situation. Like you said, I would just be rattling him off.
Right.
Jacob says in the chat, worst ending to a battle yet. He just gave up.
He did. Yeah. And he talked his way through it. Just like, well, I guess I'm not going to get it. Okay, buddy. I guess he could have said pass. Yeah. And he might have even had opportunity for one more clue, because I think he started giving up around 5 or 6 seconds.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure. I'll have to, Brian, I'm not that chatty with him, but I would like to know what was going on in his brain. But anyway, it was interesting. How many beers would you have missed, guys? Are anybody here big beer people?
I didn't know Natty Light. I didn't know Natural Light, but I think I knew just about all of them. Not that I do drink beer, but my husband loves beer. So like when he saw, I think Sarah Devado loves IPAs, he was just rattling them off. He's like, I could do great in this category. Yeah,
I think anybody who's worked in a restaurant knew a lot of them. I mean, I knew that from my restaurant days. I know Natty Light from my college days. I
did not recognize that one.
It's just the cheapest stuff you can swallow.
I thought Pabst Blue Ribbon was the cheapest. Is Pabst Blue Ribbon not the cheapest?
Yeah, no, I knew PBR because that's more. I mean, definitely in the South. I think I don't know. Maybe it is up in other places as well. But
only the rich kids drank Samuel Adams. The rest of us were PBR all day long. The bougie Sam Adams snobs,
or Stella. Stella was on there. Was Amstel Light on there? Yep. I think there were some.
Bass Ale.
I'm shocked they didn't have Duff beer on there. I mean, Simpson.
That would have been great.
That would have been funny.
They should have had
idea, Brad.
That would have been funny.
Beer. Yeah, everyone should know that.
Yeah.
That's really
thinking about all these categories, I'm interested in here, like season 3. Like now, I'm like, I wonder what these categories are going to be. Is there going to be like a Miley Cyrus? Okay, we had Taylor Swift. Will there be Miley Cyrus? You know what I mean? I'm already thinking about categories.
100 more, and then 100 more for season 4. I mean, they're going to be pretty esoteric.
Jennifer, this is. What were you going to say?
I was going to say this is not part of my non-disclosure agreement, so I think I can say it. But as you all were preparing for the last day of filming, somebody from season 3 leaked the category list and got sent home.
Yeah, she got sent home. Yeah.
Did you see it? So did you see some of the categories?
I saw it. I saw the categories. I didn't take a screenshot, so I don't remember them.
Did she appear on the show, or did she get
home?
He sent her right home.
Oh my gosh, if I had that chance, I wouldn't leak anything. But I would say this. They should, Jennifer, Tim, Angie, they should have a category in season 3 or season 4 called former floor contestants. And they show your picture, and you got to. That would be amazing, because you'd be, that's Jennifer. She's the being there girl.
Yeah.
And
you say their name and your category, or just
your name,
like a 2D vector image of us.
We can see Claire. We can see Claire with a toilet and go, that's the plumber girl, Claire. We would know that, right?
Right. Yeah.
That would be really good. I want to see that category. I think that would be great.
Yeah, that would be good. I would not be surprised if there's still a Rob Lowe category coming. I think he's got enough of a catalog of characters, parts that we could pull something like that off. I think
this would be super easy though, Angie. You could study Rob Lowe. You're gonna know Chris Traeger is gonna show up, and the dude, his character from Tommy Boy is gonna from Wayne's World is gonna show up. I mean, there's so many Rob Lowe's, man.
Yeah,
there are.
Oh, that's right. He was in Wayne's World and Tommy. Oh my gosh.
And Austin Powers.
Yeah.
Was he in Tommy Boy? He wasn't Tommy Boy, right?
He was Bo Derek's love interest.
He's underrated.
Well, we ended episode 10 with 17. Eight duels down to 17. There are 2 episodes left. Episode 11 is on the 11th next week. And that's going to cut it in half again. I don't know. I think they'll do 9 if they're keeping this 9, 8, 9, 8, routine. I don't know. And then the finale on December 18th. And
I can't wait.
I know, Brad, you're anxious to see some of the people you haven't seen yet and kind of see what happens to them. Again, we thought Keelan would get challenged. I really, really, really wanted to see Sarah because she's a pharmacist. I was like, Sarah, take on periodic table. You've got to know that. I thought that would have been really good. Yeah. But she wasn't next
They're
to
scared.
him, so.
They're scared to take on Keelan. And here's the thing. You go on the floor, you pick a category that everyone's scared of, even if you don't know it. You can sit there for a while because they're like, I'm not challenging periodic table. Keelan may not even know periodic tables.
Right. Yeah.
He's just riding it. I like Keelan. I like Keelan.
He's
say that. I like Keelan.
But I will say my husband's like, why is nobody? So again, his degree was in microbiology, so he's a science dude. But he said it's a finite list. Like it's like state capitals. It's something. It's not like U.S. history or reality stars that it could just be anything. So for him, he does not understand why people won't take that on because it is like.
It's like state flags, it's like state capitals, even global monuments to a degree.
What's the girl's name that had the 55 categories? Angie, what's her name?
Jessica.
If I was her, I would have been studying every periodic table, and I would have said, I'm taking this homie out. He is going out today because he is in a category we're all scared of, and I'm going to beat the monster right now. And I like Keelan. I wouldn't come on here. I don't think he's a monster. But is he cocky? I do think he's a little cocky. I will say that.
Well, I'll tell you, we've got other people. We've got sleepers. We've got people like Dan, who has won tons of game shows. And he's game show hosts. And he hasn't even come up yet. He can surprise all of us and get randomized, take out spin-off bands, keep his
and then
run it.
Mick is British Invasion, and he's British. So
he's British.
he saw the Did he tell you his Beatles story? That he saw the Beatles?
Yes. And I'm like, there's nothing more intimidating than that. So
I gotta say, Tim, here's the thing. I don't want any of those guys to win. I'm rooting for Angie. I'm rooting for Jennifer. I'm rooting for Megan. I'm rooting for Mina. I'm rooting for anybody that comes on this show. So
Jennifer.
Even though I was still on the show, my friends were rooting for Angie instead of me. That's how much they love Angie.
How can you not root for Angie? I've come around. I was like, she's gone, but now she's my favorite. Her and Jennifer, I like them both. They're great. Yeah. And Mina. I've never appeared on an episode with Mina. She's come on when I've not been here. So, but other than that, I like, and they show Angie a lot, Tim. They show her a lot on there. She's always making comments. She's like, da, 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 da. We see it. We see Angie. She's Angie. Yep. They show Angie as much as they show Keelan. I would just say that.
Yeah.
Hey, this is how I was telling people because people weren't seeing me. And I said, you can see my arm. You can see a piece of the flowery dress. Just once you see Angie, you can see me. Like, it might just be my dress.
You see Angie. If you see Angie, you see me. Okay, kids?
Look behind me. Look behind Angie. I'm back there.
Well, it was a wild ride for all of us. And I think it's going to be really exciting to see what happens in the next 2 weeks. I mean, I can't believe we're in December. I mean, we started this journey together in August. We had the first episode September 25th. And it is finally getting down to the semifinals. Yeah. And stuff's about to go down. There's going to be some game-changing fun. And I think America's going to have a blast. And I'm just so excited that I got to be along for the ride with you two, and that you were kind enough to share this time with me and Brad tonight. I hope that I start my show. It's called Reality Redux with Angie and friends, and I'll be starting that in the new year. And so I'm hopeful that either or both of you would be happy to come on.
Yes, please do.
Love to. Yeah.
I think it'll be a good time. Brad, you got some other. We're doing great on time. Do you want to chat longer, or we're right at 10 o'clock? If you wanted to,
let's bring her home. But I want to say this, Angie, I'm rooting for both you and Jennifer. I think it's going to be a great show, and I cannot wait for the finale. Like, I'm excited. My coworker Jeremy's like, I'm coming over to your house at 9:30 because I'm like, I don't know if I can watch it finale night, but if I don't, I'm gonna get text on the text string of, can you look at this? And it's gonna blow up for me. So I'm gonna have to watch it. My wife, she's gonna have to understand Jeremy's coming in at 9:30 at night to watch a recorded floor finale episode. So I'm excited. I'm excited. This is the greatest show, man. Although I will say, Claire last night on our pod said only people over the age of 50 watch the floor, which was shocking to me.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I wonder.
I think with
like I said, my 5-year-old can play along with most with many of the categories. So
yeah,
it's than Jeopardy, right, Tim?
For everybody. What's that?
More so than Jeopardy. My 11-year-old can watch Jeopardy, but my 11-year-old can guess who these people are on the teen people. He knows. So
now, Tim, were you on Jeopardy? I know you were on other game shows. Okay.
I was not on Jeopardy. I've been on other game shows. Dan was the one that was on Jeopardy.
I
remember. What shows were you on, Tim? What other game shows were you on?
So the ones that you would have heard of would be Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I was on that 5 years ago. I was on Win Ben
Regis. Was it with Regis?
Money. No, was with Chris Harrison. So I can always say I was in a show with Chris Harrison of The Bachelor.
Boom.
I was on Win Ben Stein's Money back in 2001.
I loved that show. I love Ben Stein.
It was fantastic. In between, there were a lot of really small shows that they wanted to get picked up by the network, but never did. So it was like a 5-episode run. I was on it, and then that was it. So
how far did you make it on the Millionaire Show?
I got up to the $10,000 question, and I lost on that one. So I think I got 7 questions in before I lost, which was unfortunate.
Yeah.
If you go on another show that's Phone a Friend, will you call me, Tim, and let me answer a phone call?
I might. They did away in Millionaire. I'll tell you, they did away with the Phone a Friend. They have an in-studio +1 because everybody was starting to Google everything over the phone. So they did away with it.
I can see that. Wow.
Yeah. I can see that. Wow. I will definitely do. I don't know, Angie. Will you? I'll definitely try out for another game show. It was
Jennifer,
fun.
I got the bug, girl. I think you and
it's a lot of fun.
I think we should, keep in touch in that way. Like when we find things, I think we're very similar. Maybe we should, keep our eyes and ears.
I think we should try for Amazing Race. I love Amazing Race.
Girl, 2 teachers, 250 plus.
Amazing Race is so fun.
I got to get in better shape. I'm going to need Tim to design a training program.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds good.
And I'm 100% on board. I think it'd be a blast. We would rock it, Jennifer. We'll bring beans for our protein power too. Get us through the race.
Y'all would win by your farting power. That's the way you would win.
There you go.
That's our secret weapon. Not only can we
smoke
the competition, but we can smoke them out.
Yes, you will smoke them out. Well, Angie, Jennifer, Tim, you're always welcome to come back on the show. We love you guys. Thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome.
Angie.
Thanks for
having us. America, thanks for watching.
And when Angie starts Reality Redo, we want you guys to be a part of that too. So make sure you step in and review a reality show with Angie and her friends who will be on
for sure. All right. That sounds awesome.
Well, thanks, Brad.
Thank you guys. My name is Brad. She's Angie. That's Jennifer. That's Tim. We will see you next week on the second and final episode of The Floor Season 2.
Woo.
This is Brad, Reality. This is Reality Check with Heidi and Brad. I'll see you later. That was fun, guys. Thank you so much.